Chapter 321, A Woman's Feelings Toward Her Lover. Tang Yunda looked a bit surprised. As he watched his son's calm expression, he curiously asked, 2.5 billion is not a small sum. Where did you get so much money? As far as I know, the magnificent Tang Corp has been investing all their time in production and hasn't made any profits yet. Don't worry, Dad, said Tang Xiu and continued, the money is clean. But I have one more thing to tell you, and it's not about the money. What is it? Asked Tang Yunda, puzzled. Are you not curious about why I have apprentices? Asked Tang Xiu. Tang Yunda was surprised for a moment as his expression turned serious immediately. He nodded and said, I am indeed puzzled by this. That little girlie Neen's mouth is way too tight, she doesn't tell me a thing. If she is your only apprentice, then it's understandable. But for the boss of Endless Virtue Pharmaceutical, the dignified, rich and affluent person with 10 billion in assets, Chen Zhizhong to even worship you as master and even revere you just leaves me perplexed despite much thought. I have sort of cultivation techniques, the sort of thing like you heard in fables and myths, cultivation to become immortal. They accepted me as their master to cultivate to immortality, said Tang Xiu. Tang Yunda laughed involuntarily, Xiu, you're not bluffing and deceiving me, are you? Where in the world would this immortality cultivation exist? Tang Xiu said solemnly, Dad, believe it or not, the world is big and nothing is too strange within it. There are all sorts of inconceivable things that ordinary people are unable to come in contact with. Besides, I'm not the only one, there are also other cultivators like me in the country. Just look at my age, how can I otherwise have the ability to rescue and wake you up from a coma? It's real. The smile on Tang Yunda's face finally froze as he asked in astonishment. It's true. However, you're already old, and excessively lost your spirit and vital force for 2 decades. I'm going to give a diet medication prescription for you and Mom to eat every day. 6 months later, I can teach you how to practice immortal cultivation, said Tang Xiu. What do you mean by practicing immortal cultivation? What is the effect exactly? Can I really become immortal? Asked Tang Yunda. Tang Xiu slanted his brows as his figure instantly disappeared in front of Tang Yunda. In the next moment, his body appeared in the door as he said, What do you think about this speed? So fast? Shaken, Tang Yunda was startled inside and could only see the shocking scene in his sight. As Tang Xiu then sat the opposite him, the wave tides inside his heart were still raging endlessly and he couldn't calm himself for a long time. My speed and strength are 100 times that of average people. But even in this state, my cultivation base is still very low. If I'm able to achieve the great accomplishment level, toppling mountains and overturning seas would be a cinch for me, said Tang Xiu. Tang Yunda's mouth twitched a few times. With a fiery look in his eyes, Tang Xiu said, I have to learn it. You must teach me 6 months later. Prior to this, he didn't have much hope of revenge since the enemies were simply too powerful. Powerful to the extent that he even dreaded it inside. However, if he were to practice immortal cultivation technique and it really greatly increased his strength, by that time his revenge would be much easier. After the conversation ended, Tang Xiu and Tang Yunda went to the living room together. Showing keen insight, Su Lingyun could clearly feel that her son and husband seemed to be a lot closer, making her very happy. Xiu, you must leave for Shanghai tomorrow. What else you need to prepare? Tang Xiu shook his head and laughed, There's nothing to prepare, Mom. I just need to bring some clothes. Besides, if I lack anything, I can buy it myself. Su Lingyun nodded and then took a bank card from her pocket. She handed it to Tang Xiu and said, Xiu, Mom is giving you this for your living expenses. There's 100,000 yuan here. Use it if you lack anything, and if it's not enough, tell me. Tang Xiu was at a loss whether he had to be amused or cry, Mom, I have money. You. Su Lingyun interrupted him, I know that you have money, but Mom has prepared it for you, so you must accept it. You must study hard in Shanghai and learn many things while you're still young. I know, Mom. Tang Xiu nodded. The next day, Tang Xiu was dragged by his mother to go shopping as she bought him a lot of clothes to wear. Slowly, the trunk of the Land Rover SUV was stuffed. Were it not for Tang Xiu persuading her to stop, Su Lingyun wouldn't have stopped. In the afternoon, Tang Xiu came to the magnificent Tang Corp HQ and directly passed the gate since the security outside already knew him. When he came to the general manager's office, he heard some people arguing inside. Chief Kong, you gotta give me this chance. I assure I can manage this handsomely. You can for everything else, but not this one. The winery needs you there, so you gotta stay. I'll take Su Quan with me. He's very clever and he works smoothly anyways. Chief Kong, I don't get it. You need to deal with a lot of stuff for our magnificent Tang Corporation. Why did you have to leave for Shanghai yourself? You see, I had people prepare me a speech and I've already memorized it. I have my own intentions in going to Shanghai. When Tang Xiu heard up to there, he revealed a faint smile. He knocked the door and then pushed it open. After entering, he saw Kong Xia sitting by her desk while Scarblade Chang stood in front of her, looking distressed. Boss? The moment she saw Tang Xiu, Kong Xia's eyes suddenly turned bright and leaped up from the sofa as she strode in a rush toward Tang Xiu along with tenderness that suffused inside her eyes. It's been more than a month. She missed Tang Xiu so much that she couldn't taste any food. Were it not because the magnificent Tang Corp required her attention, she would have really rushed to Nine Dragons Island to see Tang Xiu. Scarblade Chang also looked a bit surprised upon seeing Tang Xiu's arrival. However, when he saw Kong Xia looking like a young girl in love as she quickly ran toward Tang Xiu and intimately held his arm, his smile immediately coagulated. You gotta go to Shanghai for the wine tasting conference yourself? Laughed Tang Xiu. I thought you wouldn't come back to Star City and would directly go to Shanghai to study directly after coming back from abroad. So, I wanted to go to Shanghai to see you, said Kong Xia with a laugh. Faintly smiling at her in response, Tang Xiu then looked at Scarblade Chang and said, all right, Kong Xia will go to Shanghai for the wine tasting conference. We have brewed fine wine so we gotta make it explode in the domestic circle. And the wine tasting conference is the perfect event to do that. As for Scarblade Chang himself, his sight exchanged from Kong Xia to Tang Xiu as a forced, wry smile appeared on his rough face. He now understood the reason why Kong Xia refused him leaving for Shanghai. It turned out that she wanted to go there not just to attend the wine tasting conference, but the more important purpose was to see her lover. I got it, boss. Though he was rather depressed inside, since Scarblade Chang learned Kong Xia's true purpose, he knew that he had no chance to go to Shanghai. How's the winery? Asked Tang Xiu with a smile. I've done everything you've told me, boss. The number of bottles in our winery inventory has reached a full 20,000. Though we only have 2 production lines now, we'll have it increased to 5 production lines within up to 2 months. The wine can be sent out from the storehouse once Chief Kong orders it, so we can immediately ship them to the major stores across the country for external sales, said Scarblade Chang. Remember, our winery produces fine wine, so we can't throw too much of the product into the market. I've been reading marketing books recently and I found a very interesting marketing method, said Tang Xiu. What marketing method? Asked Scarblade Chang, confused. Hunger marketing, said Tang Xiu. At the side, Kong Xia looked surprised. Boss, you mean to learn from Apple's marketing method, the limited sales? That's right, Tang Xiu nodded and said, our wine annual sales mustn't exceed 100,000 bottles. According to our previous fixed pricing, with 10,000 per each bottle, we'll get 1 billion in revenue from 100,000 bottles. Kong Xia forced a smile and said, boss, though it's a lot of revenue. I know. 1 billion of revenue is too few for us. But we have to look into long-term profits. I think you should also understand about some know-how and whatnot. Since we'll do limited sales and the market is really in short supply, the price could be doubled. By that time, we'll throw some more products from our winery. This will be our very objective. Kang Xia's eyes lightened up as she said with a smile, I got it. Tang Xiu nodded and then looked at Scarblade Chang, asking, do you have any other matters? Scarblade Chang shook his head, no. Having said that, he suddenly realized that Tang Xiu was hinting for him to leave. A look of understanding immediately appeared on his rough face as he chuckled with a smile and then left. After Tang Xiu sat down on the sofa, he looked at Kang Xia who sat at the opposite and asked, how is the company? What about the cosmetics and the healthcare products? We've amassed the products, but our company is low on liquid funds at the moment, said Kang Xia. Tang Xiu took out his mobile phone and directly transferred 1 billion to the company's bank account and then said with a smile, I told you to tell me if there's no money. I may have no other abilities, but nevertheless, I'm still able to make some money. Anyways, I've transferred 1 billion to the company's account. It's your call how you're going to spend it. 1 billion? Kang Xia's eyes turned bright and was pleasantly surprised when she replied, with 1 billion. I can assure you that our cosmetics and healthcare products will be out of inventory and shipped to the major stores across the country before October 1st. We can also start selling on the same day. You call the shots. Alright, I just heard Su Quan being mentioned when I was in front of the door. Is he doing well? Said Tang Xiu with a smile. Kang Xia exclaimed in praise, he's a very clever young man. He knows how to read people's gestures and weigh up their words as well how to behave. When he first worked as a security guard in the winery, he solved 2 problems by himself. I then appointed him as vice director of the winery and he showcased very strong capabilities. Scarblade Chang is very dependent on him now. If he is to be trained well, he will be a very important senior executive in our magnificent Tang Corporation's management in the future. That kiddo has always been a smart one ever since he was a child, said Tang Xiu with a smile. In reply, Kang Xia said with a smile, some people have entrepreneurial talent from their childhood. Yet, he's among the best of them. To tell you the truth, if he had capital to run his own business, he'd probably have great achievements. You have a very high evaluation of him. Since he's that good, then entrust him with more responsibilities. In short, I know his nature and character rather well, and he's reliable and can be trusted, said Tang Xiu. Chapter 322, Bikini Girls. Having an absolute trust in Tang Xiu, Kang Xia laughed upon hearing it and said, rest assured. As long as Su Quan works diligently, I'll naturally put him in an important position. But you, who is going to study in Shanghai, should better not be corrupted and contaminated by Shanghai's big materialistic, pleasure-seeking and debauched society. Hearing it, Tang Xiu involuntarily laughed as he shook his head and said, there's no place in this world that can really corrupt me, you can count me on that. Anyhow, I'll be leaving for the airport, so I can't stay here for long. Give me a call if there's anything. Kang Xia was dismayed since she had yet to dine together after seeing Tang Xiu. However, recalling that she would be going to Shanghai 5 or 6 days later, the feeling of loss instantly disappeared. She and Tang Xiu already were in an intimate relationship. Though Tang Xiu didn't confirm what was their status, she already regarded herself as Tang Xiu's woman even if they were not official lovers. While standing before the office window, Kang Xia watched as Tang Xiu walked out of the edifice's front door carrying his travel bag and boarded the taxi. The corner of her mouth gently rose and formed an enchanting smile. Low-key as always. A dignified big boss, yet he often takes taxi, he even doesn't want to look for a driver. 10 p.m. Taking the private plane he borrowed from Ouyang Lulu, Tang Xiu went straight to Shanghai Airport. There was also a branch of the Everlasting Feast Hall in Shanghai and its manager, but he didn't want anyone to notice him and took a cab to a villa complex near Shanghai University. Blue Star Villa Complex. Hongpu District was the most upscale villa complex and was only 5 kilometers away from Shanghai University, With bustling commercial streets nearby, hospital, hotels, entertainment areas, snack bars and other places that were jam-packed with people. Getting off the taxi, Tang Xiu took his travel bag and went straight toward the southern gate entrance. "Hello, sir. Please show your pass." Several security guards stopped Tang Xiu's path. Tang Xiu took out his villa's door card as he then shook his head and said, "I have no pass, but I have this door card here." When one of the security guards took over the door card from Tang Xiu, his gaze fell on the N9 number on it. His expression suddenly changed and asked respectfully, "Sir, is it your first time here?" "That's right, today's my first time here. And I should be staying here often in the future," said Tang Xiu. The security guard took out his phone to access the internal system. After looking through some information, he quickly smiled. "Are you Mr. Tang who's living in Villa number 9? By the way, our Villa Complex Property Management Office has recommended several housekeepers for you. The person who bought the villa has told us that you are free to pick the housekeeper as per your liking to take care of your daily life." Tang Xiu was silent for a moment before he slowly shook his head. "No need for a housekeeper. I'll hire one myself if I need it. Anyways, can I go in now?" The security guard nodded. "Please come in, Mr. Tang." Right, it's a little bit far from here to Villa number 9, would you like us to drive you there?" "Yes, I'll have to trouble you." After hesitating, Tang Xiu nodded and replied. A few minutes later, taking a ride in the security guard's patrol car, Tang Xiu arrived in front of Villa number 9. To his surprise, from the dozens of villas he passed by, only this number 9 villa was the most luxurious and located in the innermost place. There were also more security patrols here than anywhere else. "Thank you." "You're welcome, sir. It's our job." Watching as the security patrol car left, Tang Xiu then turned around to open the gate to the villa's courtyard. He went inside and swiped the card to enter the villa. As he turned on the villa's lamp, he found that this villa was slightly worse than the one he had in Southgate Town. However, such a luxurious villa in Shanghai probably had a higher value. Immediately after, Tang Xiu wandered around in the villa and found that this 3-storied villa not only had 6 bedrooms, but also a study room, a gym, a chess room, a conference room and even a private cinema. Looking at its cleanness, the place was evidently cleaned every day. At the second floor, Tang Xiu chose the most luxurious master bedroom. He then took a comfortable bath, took out the new pajamas of the cabinet and put it on, preparing to rest. Tang Min had prepared things sufficiently. There were at least a dozen sets of various types of clothes. Each suit was also rather expensive and even provided underwear and socks as well as various types of shoes. "I gotta sleep." Tang Xiu didn't cultivate and went directly to sleep. The next morning, Tang Xiu washed his teeth and face as he went downstairs to the first floor and opened the garage door. His expression paused when he saw the 4 cars parked inside. An Audi A8, a BMW 7 Series, a Ferrari supercar, and a Bentley Bentayga. Finally, when Tang Xiu came to himself again, he forced out a wry smile. He felt that his Land Rover Range Rover series, whose worth was over $1 million, was a little shabby compared to these. Forget it. I'll just take the bus." Looking too high profile was something Tang Xiu was reluctant to do, so he closed the garage door and left the villa courtyard. At the front entrance of the Shanghai University campus. When Tang Xiu arrived there, only then did he realize how mistaken he was. He found a lot of students driving luxurious cars. The most unbridled scene was on the eastern side of the campus gate as 7 or 8 expensive sports cars parked side by side, along with 7 or 8 young men in gaudy clothes. They were smoking cigarettes while pointing and commenting on the female students who came to register. "Those should be the silk pants of Shanghai, right?" Tang Xiu disliked these silk pants young masters the most. But he directly ignored them since they did not provoke him and directly entered the campus gate. The campus was very lively and jam-packed with the aura of youth. Walking in twos or threes, everyone was wearing joyful smiles on their faces. Yet there were also many students who were accompanied by their guardians. Quickly, after asking around, Tang Xiu came to the freshman registrar office. Department of History's registrar office. Looking somewhat bored, Wen Haijie watched the lively scene at the other registration booths. Apart from feeling bitter inside, he also forced out a wry smile. It was because the enrollment to the Shanghai University's Department of History was very small, with only a little more than 40 people altogether. Hence, she was the only one responsible for receiving freshmen, and so far, there were only 4 freshmen registered for the Department of History. Hello, is this the new student registrar for the Department of History? Tang Xiu went in front of Wen Haijie and asked aloud. Wen Haijie was startled from her reverie as she quickly smiled and said, "That's right. This is the Department of History's new student registration. Are you this year's new student?" "Yes." Tang Xiu took out his admission notice and handed it over. Taking it with a smile, Wen Haijie then opened it, looking a bit surprised a moment after. Shen then looked up and carefully observed Tang Xiu for a while and curiously asked, "You're Tang Xiu?" Tang Xiu was surprised for a moment, as he then asked in puzzlement, "You know me?" "No, I don't know you," laughed Wen Haijie. "But your name is already like thunder in the ears. The top scorer in the CET science subject of Shuangqing province. The most dazzling genius CET scorer who almost got the full score of all subjects out of the exam. And most importantly, you didn't choose Beijing University, but chose our Shanghai University. Yet, what made people puzzled was that you chose the Department of History as your major, for which only a few people register to." And seeing her pause, Tang Xiu laughed, "And what?" "And our Department of History's vice president has reminded many times in the recent days to immediately inform him once you came to register," said Wen Haijie. Pondering for a moment, Tang Xiu then slowly asked, "Are you talking about Le Bai?" "What Le Bai? You should call him Vice President Le, or Professor Le," laughed Wen Haijie. "All right, I'll have to trouble you for assisting me with the admission procedures then," said Tang Xiu with a nod. "No problem. Give me your ID card. Anyway, our campus registration date will be held from 1st to the 7th of this month, whereas the campus military drill will begin on the 8th and will last 2 weeks. After the drill ends, the new term will formally begin. Also, you're exempted from your tuition fee and other miscellaneous fees. Vice President Liu has helped you over this," said Wen Haijie. "Huh?" Tang Xiu was surprised and said, "Vice President Liu helped me pay it? Why?" "You ask me, but to whom should I ask?" Wen Haijie shook her head and said, "Don't you know him?" "I do," said Tang Xiu. "Since you know him, then it doesn't matter." "No," said Wen Haijie. A few minutes later, having finished the enrollment procedures for Tang Xiu, Wen Haijie then gave Tang Xiu a copy of the receipt and a key, saying, "This is the key to your dormitory. But your dorm mates haven't arrived yet." Tang Xiu took the key and inquired, "Are you a teacher in the Department of History?" "Yes," said Wen Haijie with a smile, "you can call me Teacher Wen, or you can also call me Big Sister Wen. I've been teaching here for 2 years now." "Then I'll call you Big Sis Wen," replied Tang Xiu with a smile. "No problem," Wen Haijie laughed and said, "You can put your things in the dorm first, and then report to your class teacher in charge. The classroom for the Department of History is the Block B on the 4th floor." "All right, see you later." Carrying his travel bag, Tang Xiu then left the registrar office and went to the campus dorm. Though he had a villa outside, he didn't know whether he can live outside the campus, so he planned to first stay in the campus dormitory and then look for the class teacher in charge to ask about it. At the dormitory room, Tang Xiu used the key to open the door. He went in and found that the environment inside was good. There were 4 beds, all in the upper, with a bookcase underneath each. Obviously, the janitors had cleaned them in advance since there were not much dust and dirt. However, he was at a loss whether he had to be amused or cry since all the posters left on the wall including several large posters, were all portraits of exposed bikini girls. Looking at the bed's numbers, Tang Xiu then found his name written on the bed on the left side. He then put his travel bag into the cabinet. After looking and asking around, he then got the bedding, wash basin bucket and mats from the logistics office. As he carried the things back to his dorm, he found that the room's lock and the door had been opened. Chapter 323, Jaw-Dropping Surprise. As he entered the dorm, Tang Xiu saw a beautiful-looking youth wearing earrings and a shawl hairdo, as well as a middle-aged couple. "Hello, how do you do?" Tang Xiu greeted them with a smile. The young man jumped up from the chair as he darted before Tang Xiu, smiling. "Are you my dorm mate? By the way, I'm Yu Kai." "I'm Tang Xiu," said Tang Xiu with a smile. Yu Kai said with a smile, "Nice to meet you. We'll be fellow students as well as good friends later." "Mom, Dad, do you see? This fellow student of mine looks handsome and very honest. Surely he wouldn't give me any bad influence, no? You can go now, right?" The middle-aged couple exchanged glances as the middle-aged man then said with a smile, "Little Tang, right? My son, Yu Kai, used to be naughty. Since you're going to be his fellow student for a few years, I hope you can take good care of him. And, do call me directly if he makes trouble on the campus." Having said that, he took a name card from his pocket and handed it to Tang Xiu. Reading the name card, Tang Xiu saw that there was nothing else but the man's name and his cell number on the card. He immediately put the man's name card into his pocket and said with a smile, "Rest assured, sir. Looking at his good facial features, Yu Kai is not crafty and evil. I'm sure we can help each other." Astounded, Yu Chongqing asked, "Little Tang also knows physiognomy?" Tang Xiu only smiled, staying quiet. The middle-aged woman pulled Yu Chongqing's hand as she smiled and said, "Little Kai, we're sending you to school, so you must study hard. Don't hang out with bad friends. If I learn you're skipping classes or playing on the campus, be careful, or else I'll block all your bank cards." I know, Mom." Yu Kai glanced at Tang Xiu, looking a bit embarrassed and angry. Shortly after, the Yu Chongqing couple left. The smile originally written on Yu Kai's face instantly vanished, replaced by a bored expression. He then sat back on the chair, raised his leg atop the other and then looked at Tang Xiu as he groaned, "What's your name again?" "Tang." Tang Xiu. "Worry not, buddy. We'll be off and together, so we gotta keep our relationship. I'll cover up for you in school." While making the bed, Tang Xiu smiled and said, "Have you reported yet? You gotta seize the time and go to the logistics office to take your things. There are many people there, so you better be fast as to avoid that all the good stuff be taken by others." Waving his hand, Yu Kai said, "No, I won't use them, the things sent by the school are garbage. Anyways, do you have time after we see the class teacher in charge? Care to accompany me outside to buy something? I'll treat you at the restaurant for lunch." Hesitating for a moment, Tang Xiu replied with a smile, "Okay. I also have to buy something." Yu Kai stood up and went to the bathroom. After coming out, he saw that Tang Xiu had properly packed up and immediately asked, "Shall we go? I don't know when our other two roommates will arrive, so we won't wait for them." "All right, I'll leave a note for them so they can directly go to the restaurant to find us." "Do you know them?" asked Tang Xiu, surprised. "Nope," replied Yu Kai as he shook his head. "If you don't know them, will they even catch up with us if we leave a note here?" said Tang Xiu with a forced smile. Yu Kai shrugged his shoulders and replied lightly, "It's up to them whether they want to go or not. Come on, don't be like a chattering chick, will you? Let's go to the classroom first." Tang Xiu couldn't help but chuckle to himself. He realized that Yu Kai was just a spoiled little boy. Before his parents just now, he showed himself to be close buddies with him on purpose. Apparently, it was just an act he showed to his parents. At the Department of History's classroom on the 4th floor of Block B. When Tang Xiao and Yu Kai arrived there, they found that there were only 4 or 5 students in the classroom chatting. As they saw the duo, one of them, a tall and gentle-looking male student, immediately smiled and said, "Ah, there's another 2 new classmates. Hi, I'm Zhao Liang from Jingmen Island. Tang Xiao. Yu Kai." The duo spoke out their names. Zhao Liang laughed mischievously and said, "2 brothers, you don't know yet, do you? Our teacher in charge turns out to be a great beauty, a young and stunning beauty. I've seen lots of belles, yet the ones who are prettier than her are very few. Anyways, she's currently out, but she'll be back soon." As far as beauty was concerned, Tang Xiao himself possessed a strong immunity toward the it. In a stark contrast, Yu Kai looked like his spirit was startled upon hearing it. He approached Zhao Liang and sat directly on the desk and curiously inquired, "Is she really beautiful? Is she very young? You got any photos of her?" Zhao Liang's eyes turned bright, as if he found a soulmate. He put his hand on Yu Kai's shoulder and deftly took out his mobile, opening several photos, and then said, "Of course I got her photos. Take a look at these candid photos which I strongly asked Teacher Han for the group. How is it? Isn't she beautiful?" After looking at it, Yu Kai nodded and said with a smile, "Beautiful, so damn beautiful. This teacher is many times more beautiful than all the belles I've ever seen. She shouldn't be much inferior compared to those super beautiful women. It's decided then. My first target in the university is our teacher Han." Zhao Liang dazed for a moment. He then raised his thumb and immediately exclaimed in praise, "You're so amazing, brother. I myself am already satisfied with being able to find a campus flower as a girlfriend. I didn't expect that your ideal is much bigger than mine. We gotta have some drinks this noon, buddy." With a smile hanging on his face, Yu Kai heartily said, "No prob. Well, do you have time after Tang Xiao and I report to Teacher Han? We're going out to buy something, so let's go to a restaurant and have a drink there. Today is my treat. Count me in." Zhao Liang nodded and said, "I just arrived in Shanghai this morning, and I haven't gone out to experience the style and vibe of Shanghai. That's right, if you got time, accompany me to buy a car. Having no car is kinda depressing and rather inconvenient." At the side, Tang Xiao secretly smiled wryly inside upon hearing Zhao Liang's words. He just didn't expect that he would meet such rich young masters the moment he arrived at university. It seemed like university life would be lively. As he shifted his vision, he suddenly sensed that someone was approaching. When he looked up and saw the person, his expression slightly froze as he instantly exclaimed, How can you be here?" Holding a stack of documents in hands, Han Qinggu said with a dazzling smile on her face, "Why can't I?" The big beauty Han, Tang Xiao forced a smile and said, "Would you pinch me to see whether or not I'm dreaming?" Pfft. Han Qinggu couldn't help chuckle as she then said with a smile, "Tang Xiao, you didn't expect that I would come work as a teacher at Shanghai University, did you? You never imagined that I'd also become your class teacher in charge for the next 4 years, right? Why you ran to Shanghai University to teach?" Tang Xiao stared blankly as his eyes instantly turned saucer and exclaimed in alarm, "And also become my class teacher in charge in the university for the next 4 years? Are you kidding me?" "Nope, I'm not kidding you," said Han Qinggu as she continued, "Do you remember that I went to Shanghai on summer vacation, and I asked your help to entertain that good sister of mine? I went to Shanghai that time for a job transfer. But teaching in the Department of History was the school's arrangement though." Yu Kai, Zhao Liang, and the other 4 students had weird expressions on their faces as they watched Tang Xiao and Han Qinggu. They didn't imagine that the 2 people would actually know each other. Zhao Liang gently touched Tang Xiao and curiously asked, "You know her? You seem quite familiar with her." Tang Xiao forced out a smile and said, "It's not just being familiar. She was my teacher in charge in high school." "What? Everyone in the classroom was immediately dumbstruck. Han Qingwu laughed. Yes, Tang Xiu was my student in high school and will become my student yet again in university. This explains that we're fated, no? Anyways, relax. You will feel very fortunate of having me as your class's teacher in charge for the next 4 years. Besides, you're my student and the top scorer for the CET science subjects in Shuangqing province. Having an outstanding student is evidence that I'm also an amazing teacher, no? The CET top scorer of Shuangqing province? As though having a new understanding about Tang Xiu, Yu Kai raised his thumb up and exclaimed in admiration, "The student king, bravo."
Ah.
Heck, I gotta pull myself back. Huh? Zhao Liang was puzzled and said, "What pullback? What else can it be?" Yu Kai humorlessly said, "Did you hear her words? Don't you see a deep fate between these two? Even if I do everything I can, I'm afraid I can never win her over. Besides, I'll become Tang Xiu's dorm mate, a fellow classmate for 4 years. No way in hell will I cheat my brother's wife." You got it an instant. Zhao Liang burst into laughter. Listening to their conversation, Tang Xiu immediately forced a smile and said, "Yu Kai, no rubbish talk, will you? The relationship between me and Teacher Han is purely between a teacher and a student. If you got the ability, you can freely pursue her." As for Han Qingwu, she was at a loss whether she had to be amused or cry seeing them. She gave white eyes and snappily said, "Hey, no rubbish talk. I'm your teacher. Were I to find any of you blindly making trouble, I can make your life difficult."
Ugh.
Despite having big courage, Yu Kai couldn't help but shrink his neck at this moment. A few minutes later, Tang Xiu and Yu Kai signed their names in the name register. "Teacher Han, we need to buy some things. We'll go first if there's nothing else," said Yu Kai as he gave the pen back to Han Qingwu. "You can go." Han Qingwu nodded and said, "And Tang Xiu, you didn't change your cell number, did you? I'll call you in the afternoon, we'll have a meal together at night." "All right." Tang Xiu nodded and then left the classroom followed by Yu Kai. At the corridor, Zhao Liang said with a deadpan expression, "Yu Kai, I dare bet that Teacher Han absolutely has a crush on Tang Xiu. To think that she even applied to transfer from high school to our Shanghai University. Damn, this brother Tang's charm really almost makes me kneel to him." Yu Kai nodded, "True that. Otherwise, how could a high school teacher transfer thousands of miles away to Shanghai University to teach? And I dare say that Teacher Han's family must have a great personal network and contacts. They must also have spent great efforts for this, or else, she wouldn't have been able to be promoted to Shanghai University. Have you finished spitting out your rubbish? Teacher Han and I only have a pure teacher-student relationship," said Tang Xiu with a forced smile. "Only ghosts will believe you." The duo simultaneously shouted in response. Immediately, Yu Kai said, "Tang Xiu, you're the eldest brother later, our eldest. As long as you give us tips about flirting with chicks, we're willing to serve you tea and attending you as our master. Get lost." Chapter 324, Magical Object for Chasing After Hot Chicks. Having left the school building, the trio returned to the dorm and then went downstairs. Yu Kai took out his BMW car key and pressed a button on it. Zhao Liang then nearly popped his eyes out as he looked around the corner and saw the lights of a BMW 525 sedan lit up. "Good baby. You are a local rich redneck." Zhao Liang fixated his eyes on Yu Kai as he gasped in admiration. With a bit of proud expression on his face, Yu Kai replied with a smile, "Rich redneck? Not really. But we're studying in Shanghai and we better ride a car instead of stroll around by foot, no? I have a better one at home, but crowing over for myself is not my style. Anyways, I just bought this car on summer vacation. How is it? This car is not bad, right?" Raising his thumb, Zhao Liang lamented, "Not bad? This is simply a magical object for chasing after hot chicks. All the hot chicks surely will be happy riding on a BMW and Mercedes-Benz. I was planning on spending 200,000 yuan to buy a car and show off. But now, I find it embarrassing to buy it after looking at your car. It's all right, laughed Yu Kai. We're all buddies, my car is your car. If you want to drive it to flirt with chicks, you can tell me. So long as you don't have sex on it, you can use the car as you like, to pick up chicks or go for a ride. Having sex on the car? Stunned, Zhao Liang then immediately exclaimed, Yu Kai, I only heard about it, but haven't tried it yet. Don't tell me you have done it before. If you did, then later you're my eldest brother. Yu Kai coughed dryly as he chuckled to himself, nope, I haven't done it actually. I usually take the girls to a ride and then to the hotel. But having sex in the car, I really never tried it. Immediately, Yu Kai looked at the all-smiling Tang Xiu. He rolled his eyes and said, but big brother Tang must have tasted it. Just look at his frivolous and fresh appearance. Recalling as how teacher Han's attitude of traversing a great distance to pursue him, he's absolutely an expert on this kind of endeavor. Eldest brother Tang, your body is neither fat nor thin, having sex in the car should be done in a pulled-open posture, right? Tang Xiu replied in a complaint tone, never tried it. Shooting Tang Xiu a contemptuous look, Yu Kai then groaned, eldest brother Tang, you're not right. We're all brothers, why would you hide it from us? I called you eldest brother, didn't I? Just say it. How's the taste of having sex in the car? I really haven't tried it yet, said Tang Xiu reluctantly. Letting out a dull look, Yu Kai then waved and said, let's get on board and go shopping. We'll straightly go to the restaurant after buying the things. After entering the car, Tang Xiu looked as Zhao Liang drilled himself on the co-pilot seat and smiled, asking, Yu Kai, you should be a local, right? Listening to your parents, they had a strong accent of Shanghai locals. Yup, I'm a local, said Yu Kai with a smile. No wonder you're familiar with Shanghai, so it turns out that you're a local. Then, you lead the way for us, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Let's go. Crying out in response to a strange accent, Yu Kai started the car and drove out. He showed off, speeding up with a proud expression, which made Tang Xiu frown. This place was, after all, the interior of the university, and there were many pedestrians carrying big bags due to the new students' arrival for registration. Hey, slow down and be careful not to hit people, reminded Tang Xiu out of good intention. Yu Kai rolled his eyes and hummed, relax, dude. This is my driving skill, I'm not joking. I raced with a few dudes of mine in Chongqi, the neighboring city. I suppose you don't have a driver license yet. Tang Xiu sighed inside. Though he didn't like Yu Kai's young frivolous attitude, he was not his father, thus it was naturally inconvenient to control him. Not to mention that he also knew very well the rebellious mentality young men had, as well as was aware of how young men were concerned about face. Let alone controlling him, even if he continued persuading him, he would perhaps only make Yu Kai livelier. He didn't feel like trying so hard for such a thankless job. When the BMW drove out of the campus gate, through the glass windows, Tang Xiu saw the supercars lined in a row still there, whereas those 6 or 7 young men stood around them, surrounded by several girls. While pointing to that side, Tang Xiu asked, do you know those kids, Yu Kai? Turning his head to look, Yu Kai's expression instantly turned ugly. After being silent for a moment, he bitterly said, I know. Of course, I know them. They are a group of trash. When my eldest brother was not in jail, they were like babies in front of him. Now they are so unbridled and arrogant. But when he comes out, we will clean them up sooner or later. Tang Xiu shook his head and sighed inside. He suddenly realized that it was a wrong choice of his coming out with Yu Kai. This fellow was evidently not someone easy to deal with. It was no wonder that his parents wanted him to control and take care of this guy. Quickly, the BMW was parked in the underground parking lot a few kilometers away from a large shopping mall. the trio got off and bought a lot of things in the mall. After a short half an hour, Yukai had spent hundreds of thousands yuan, with Zhao Liang also spending more than 10,000. Tang Xiu himself didn't say anything, even though he didn't approve of their extravagant spending. He only bought some toiletries. Tang Xiu, if you have no money, just tell these buddies of yours and we'll buy the things you like. We're dorm mates, so we don't have to regard each other as strangers, said Yukai in a stylish manner. I don't lack anything, what I wanted to buy was just these toiletries, laughed Tang Xiu. Yukai no longer spoke. He didn't care about money anyway. Whatever Tang Xiu wanted to buy, and didn't want him to pay for it, he didn't bother to stress himself over it. After buying everything, Yukai smiled and said, all right, let's go. I just called and booked a box at Riverwood Restaurant. Let's drink fine wine there this noon. That reminds me, I don't know whether those 2 dorm mates of ours arrived, but if they do it will be livelier. If they have arrived and want to get along well later, I believe they will catch up with us after reading the note you left behind, said Tang Xiu. 11 a.m. The Riverwood restaurant was particularly hot as its first floor was almost jam-packed. When the trio arrived there, they found that there were many people still entering. Zhao Liang sighed, this is an upscale restaurant and should be rather expensive, right? Yup. Even though I have some money, I'm afraid I can only have a round of sumptuous meal here every few weeks. Although this restaurant can't compare with Yayang Edifice, Taiha Restaurant and Everlasting Feast Hall, of which are true upscale restaurants, but at least it can be ranked as an upper-class one, said Yukai. Shanghai also has an Everlasting Feast Hall, asked Zhao Liang, astounded. What do you mean by also? Does your Jingmen Island also have an Everlasting Feast Hall there? Asked Yukai back, surprised. It does, and it has a rather high threshold also. I used to go there with my old man. It's a pity my old man is not a VIP there, though. Otherwise, he could have enjoyed a kingly treatment, said Zhao Liang. Laughing involuntarily, Yukai then said, I've also been to Shanghai's Everlasting Feast Hall a couple of times and the place is indeed great, though it's a pity that it's a bit far from here. If it were not due to the consideration of our other classmates' arrival, we could have gone there. Everlasting Feast Hall? The corner of Tang Xiu's mouth curved as a slight smile was painted on his handsome face. He didn't expect that he would hear this name from his fellow students' mouths when he just arrived in Shanghai. He did have the intention to visit and have a look at Shanghai's Everlasting Feast Hall. 10 minutes later, the trio had taken a seat in the box. The food and wine had also been served. At that time, Yukai's mobile rang. Yukai here. Hi, it's Hu Qingsong here. I live in the Shanghai University's male student dormitory number 428. I saw the note you left here, a voice with thick northeasterner accent was heard from the phone. Yukai's brows raised as he said with a smile, we're in Riverwood Restaurant. After you leave the campus, call a taxi and you'll be able to get here after a short while. Wait for me there. The phone was hung up. After putting away his mobile, Yukai then said with a smile, our dorm mate, Hu Qingsong has arrived. He said that he will catch up with us here. Judging from his accent, he seems to be a northeasterner. All right, open the wine first. In celebration of our encounter out of millions of people and becoming buddies, let's start by drawing our first cup. Zhao Liang raised his glass and laughed, though you and I are not in the same dormitory. Our dorms are only separated by a corridor in the opposite entrance. So we're brothers in the trenches as well. Yukai is treating us this time, so I won't snatch this honor from him. When our dorm buddies finally arrive this evening, in addition to your dorm mates, both of our dorm buddies should gather together and I'll treat you to a party. Cheers! Exclaimed Yukai with a smile. Tang Xiu didn't say anything. He just raised his glass, toasted and gulped it down. Is the wine good? It's just that I stole my old man's fine wine when I came over and hid it in the trunk. You two, are you lucky to have a chance to taste such a good thing? Wait for a while. I'll give you 2 bottles of wine better than this, laughed Tang Xiu. Staring blankly for a moment, Yu Kai immediately smiled. He thought that Tang Xiu was not a scion of a rich family since he was so economical in the shopping mall before. Hence, he treated Tang Xiu's words as a saving face act only and didn't put it in his heart. Half an hour later, when all the dishes were nearly up, Yu Kai looked at the time and appeared puzzled as he said, "How come Hu Qingsong didn't arrive yet? Even if he came by foot, he should have arrived by now." Knock, knock. As he finished speaking, the box's door was knocked and quickly, a dark-skinned, strong and muscular young man opened the door as he looked at the trio inside the box and grinned, "Yo, I'm Hu Qingsong. Did I come late?" Yu Kai and Zhao Liang got up, wearing weird expressions in their eyes, whereas Tang Xiu was frowning with a puzzled light in his eyes, because there was a green-purple bump on Hu Qingsong's face. Even his clothes were dirty with footprints on it. Obviously, the fellow had just fought with some people. "I'm Yu Kai." "Hey, dude, who were the people you just played with?" asked Yu Kai as he waved and pointed at Hu Qingsong's face. "It's nothing," chuckled Hu Qingsong as he said, "I just encountered a small trouble on the way here. It's been solved, though." Zhao Liang put out his hand and said with a smile, "I'm Zhao Liang, from Jingmen Island. I live in the dorm on the opposite side and am classmate of yours." "Tang Xiu, from Star City," said Tang Xiu with a smile. Chapter 325, Chaotic Fight. The 2 young men and Hu Qingsong shook hands as they laughed and smiled. "We are brothers from now on and predestined friends that gathered here, so let's get along well. I'm a Northeasterner, and like most of them, I'm a straightforward person. As long as you guys bear open your heart and are forthright, I won't be false with you all. I know the forthrightness of the Northeasterners since I have made friends with someone from the Northeast a while ago." "He's also straightforward one," said Tang Xiu with a smile. Wiping the bloodstain on the corner of his mouth, Hu Qingsong said with a smile, "I was originally worried that I wouldn't get along with my fellow students in the university as well as with my dorm mates. Seems like my worries were unfounded. It turns out that you guys are merry and outgoing buddies. Come, let's have a toast. Anyway, who's the entertainer today? Do we have enough booze?" Apparently, Yu Kai also liked Hu Qingsong's straightforwardness. He patted his chest and said, "The booze is absolutely enough. I dare order it so long as you can drink it. Only, the 2 bottles of wine I stole from home had just been drunk up. But there are other fine wines in the restaurant, you're free to pick them." Raising his glass, Hu Qingsong exclaimed in praise, "Brother Yu Kai is generous. Come, let's finish this cup and have a chat. Cheers." Another glass of wine was transported into their stomachs. While looking at the purple bruises on Hu Qingsong's face, Yu Kai asked him, "Old Hu, tell me, what kind of shits did you bump into on the way here? We drank together, so we're buddies. Who the hell dares to mess with us? We gotta pay them back." Showing uncaring expression, Hu Qingsong said, "It's just a small matter. I had just left the campus when I bumped into a few bastards harassing a female student, so I just casually solved those chaps for the girl by myself, 1 against 4, and beat the crap out of them. But I also got some licks for it, though." "You alone against 4, asked Yu Kai, amazed. "Of course. I was a sports team's member in high school, after all." Hu Qingsong laughed and said, "Anyways, when I was waiting for the CET result for the North region, my old man kinda insisted in not letting me study anything else aside from history. You might not know, but ever since my family couldn't find the specific location of my ancestor grandfather's tomb, my old man has been kinda bewitched. He thought of all sort of methods, including looking for some archaeologists from Beijing. Yet, nobody has been able to find it. Hence, for fear that the future offspring of my family can't find my father's grave after he died, he decreed that every generation of my family must study 2 things, a specialty in history and a minor in archaeology." "Your old man is really absurd," laughed Zhao Liang. Who says he is not? Hu Qingsong patted his thigh approvingly and said, also, a feng shui master said that it was due to the feng shui of our ancestors changing. He also said that there had been changes in the tomb's geomancy. What bullshit. I almost asked my old man, why did you let me go study at the university instead of letting me follow that demigod Mr. Feng Shui, ... Yu Kai and Hu Qingsong burst into loud laughter. Even though Tang Xiu also revealed a faint smile, yet he also thought about what Hu Qingsong said about the changes in geomancy. He knew array techniques, and naturally understood what geomancy transposition of the tomb was. It was because the natural environment could lead to changes in the land's feng shui. The changes would lead to either greatly ominous omens or auspicious omens. After waiting for a moment of silence, Tang Xiu then asked, Qingsong, may I ask you something? Waving his hand, Hu Qingsong said, you can ask me freely. What kind of important matters happened to your family ever since your grandfather lost the location of your ancestral tomb? Have you had good luck or bad luck? Asked Tang Xiu. Stunned and dazed for a moment, Hu Qingsong frowned as he thought for a few seconds and then said, nothing bad happened. But, some joyous occasions did happen at home several times. My brother married a very beautiful wife who then gave him twin boys, while those two little tigers also grew up strong and look great. They will definitely be like me, becoming tough and able men in the future. Another thing is, my old man's business got slightly better recently. By the way, I was planning to hang out with my fellow students today, with me as the entertainer. But I didn't expect that Yu Kai would swiftly snatch it, though. Inwardly, Tang Xiu was perfectly clear that the result of the tomb's geomancy change seemed to lead to auspicious omens, not ominous ones. Bang. The box's door was trampled from the outside, followed by more than a dozen youths in outlandish attire, as they carried steel pipes and knives in their hands. They blocked the path out and quickly, several young men with bleeding noses and swollen faces came in behind a middle-aged man. Brother Hu, that's the punk. The one who has a bruise on his face, shouted one of the youths angrily. The middle-aged man looked at Hu Qingsong and sneered, little punk, was it you who injured these little brothers of mine? Hu Qingsong looked at them and then shifted his eyes toward the dozens of young thugs, suddenly slapping the table. Pointing at Yu Kai and the others, he cursed at them, fuck, this father wondered who was calling me here. It turns out that it was you hoodlums who were calling me. What? I have yet to beat the crap out of the three of you, and now you want to shit on me after seeing that others are looking for me too? Yu Kai and Zhao Liang were shocked. Quickly, Yu Kai grabbed a bottle in front of him and angrily fumed, damn Qingsong, what the hell is wrong with you, idiot? You just told us that we're brothers, and now you don't even recognize us? I told you that after we become dorm mates, this Big Daddy will beat the crap out of anyone who dares to shit on you. Despite the obvious fear on his face, Zhao Liang walked toward Yu Kai's back while conveniently grabbing a bottle. Seeing Hu Qingsong still trying to speak, Tang Xiu secretly sighed inside. He patted his shoulder and said, all right, no more playing, will you? I know you said that on purpose since you don't want to implicate us. But, since we're all classmates, we'll naturally act together. We're not some hoodlums, to begin with. Let's just handle them and send them off. Clap, clap, clap. The middle-aged man applauded, not bad, not bad. Little brothers, such a loyal brotherhood is rare these days. Only, one has to pay the price for being loyal. Do you believe you can get out of this box relying only on the four of you? Humph, Hu Qingsong snorted coldly and said, whether or not we can get out of here is not for you to say. Any fucking idiot who wants to start, I'll definitely kill him. Sigh. The middle-aged man sighed and said, I still wanted to talk to you, but I didn't expect that you were unable to appreciate it. Do it. Beat them to death. In a flash, more than 10 young thugs wielded their steel pipes and knives, striking at Hu Qingsong and Tang Xiu who were at the forefront, whereas another 5 or 6 young thugs attacked Yu Kai and Zhao Liang. Sighing inside, Tang Xiu instantly grabbed Hu Qingsong's shoulder and pulled him back to trade positions with him. He then sent out a kick and directly trampled the youth thug's belly in the forefront, sending him flying and heavily smashing the other two young thugs behind him. Bam, bam. After snatching a steel pipe, Tang Xiu used it, heavily beating a young thug. Most importantly, he raised up the dining table and smashed it toward the other 5 or 6 young thugs surrounding Yu Kai and Zhao Liang. The middle-aged man's expression changed. He took out a dagger from his waist and darted toward Tang Xiu. Roll. Tang Xiu fiercely kicked the man's chest and punched his arm. The dagger in the middle-aged big man's hand dropped to the floor as Tang Xiu then slapped him down. All of you, stop. 5 or 6 young thugs that had gotten up from the floor slowed down their movements after hearing Tang Xiu's shout. While stepping on the middle-aged man's face, Tang Xiu sneered, "You can't go. You disturbed our mealtime today. If you don't compensate us, I'll break both of your legs and make you leave by crawling. Either you compensate us for our losses today, or apologize." The 5 or 6 young thugs looked at the middle-aged man under Tang Xiu's foot. They then looked to the other 7 or 8 comrades who had been badly beaten. They suddenly felt somewhat helpless. Glancing at Zhao Liang, Tang Xiu then said in a deep voice, "Go look for the restaurant's management staff. We got surrounded by strangers when having a meal in their restaurant, so they must take the responsibility." "Okay. I'm going." Zhao Liang thought that they would be so badly beaten today that they'd have to be hospitalized. Thus, such invincible might shown by Tang Xiu made him ecstatic. He quickly dashed out of the box and ran to find the management staff. 2 minutes later, Zhao Liang brought a middle-aged woman along with 4 security guards. After seeing what happened inside the box, the middle-aged woman stared blankly for a moment, as she then looked at Tang Xiu and said, "I just heard that some people caused trouble here." "You just heard it?" Tang Xiu sneered and said, "It was a big fight and quite noisy. How come not even one of your restaurant's personnel heard it?" The middle-aged woman forced a smile and said, "I'm really sorry, sir. It's because the boxes are installed with soundproof panels, so we really didn't know. I did see them when they came in, but I thought they were here to have a meal. Let me introduce myself. I'm the manager of the restaurant, surnamed Shui. I'm not interested in your family name whatsoever. But I want to ask you. We were having a meal in your restaurant and a gang of local thugs surrounded and ganged up on us. You tell me, are you going to take responsibility for this or not?" said Tang Xiu. The middle-aged woman nodded, "Sure, we'll take the responsibility. Give them to our security guards. I'll call the police, and I may have to trouble you when they come. Also, I'll exempt all your spending here today as compensation." "No," Tang Xiu shook his head and said, "That's not necessary." Having said that, he kicked the middle-aged man to the side and coldly glared at him as he crawled. He then indifferently said, "You disturbed our meal, so you've to pay for all the meals." "Okay, I'll pay." The middle-aged man had just been miserably beaten, and he could still feel the acute pain in his chest now. He could barely breathe smoothly. He never imagined that this skinny and tanned youth was so powerful. He was also someone who could beat for people by himself, yet the young man before him was even more powerful. He was cursing his younger brothers inside his heart, yet he didn't dare to show it before Tang Xiu and the others.